Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Gurdeep Bhogal. She is a gifted psychic medium, trance channel, Shakti embodiment teacher, a holistic healer, and a spiritualist minister. That is a lot. Welcome, Gurdeep.
Thank you, Leah. It's so good to be here. I know it's a long list to say there, but I'm so excited to be with you today.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you because we have so much to talk about, and because you do so much in the community and with the church and all of the things you do. But I want to start by first understanding your upbringing because it's very interesting. You have a very diverse background. You were born in Kenya, is that right?
That's right, yep.
Raised in England.
That's correct.
And you're of Indian heritage as well.
Yep.
So just those three
together
in a combination. How did that shape? How did that happen? Like you ended up here and it shaped who you are and all the work that you do.
Absolutely, yes. I think all of our, background influences like who we are and our work. And I was born in East Africa, in Kenya. Mm-hmm. And the thing that connects me a lot to Africa and Kenya, even though I didn't live there for a long time, I was a baby when I moved to England. But I really feel a strong connection with the ground and the earth and nature with Africa. So I feel like that part of my background it just brings that sort of groundedness and that connection to embodiment. And I think that's what Kenya brings. Wow. And then my ancestral background is from India, from the north of India. I'm Punjabi. Punjab is one of the regions of northern India. Okay. And my ancestors were Sikhs, and before that they were Hindus. And so I really embody a lot of like Indian wisdom teachings, the culture. I was very much influenced by my parents and the culture I was kind of raised in. And so I really embrace all of the various aspects of spirituality from my background. And then England was where I was raised and is kind of like my home. I'm kind of like a Londoner at heart in some respects. And that's what really taught me about belonging and not belonging, and about history, and about just colonialism, and about the history of my ancestors as well. Okay. So a lot of connecting things and a lot of diversity within England as well.
Right. That's amazing, because I can definitely see, just being born in Kenya, like you said, with that grounding, you carry that with you in your energy, and you carry that with you through your whole life, even though you didn't spend a lot of time there. But then you have, like you said, the very traditional colonialist, upbringing in England with your Indian heritage. Now, you said Hindu and Sikh, was it as well? So can you explain Sikh and what that is? Because a lot of people aren't familiar with that.
Absolutely. So I was raised in a Sikh family. The Sikh religion is a relatively young religion. It's only about 550 years old, and it comes from northern India. It does believe in like universal consciousness and oneness. And one of the central tenets of Sikhism, which really has kind of shaped me, is seva, which means selfless service. And so
selfless service.
Yes, that's correct. And so in the Sikh temples, in the Gurdwaras, my dad was a traditional Sikh man. He wore a turban and had a beard, and was very connected to India. So we would go to the Gurdwara, which is the Sikh temple. Okay. And within that, there's a strong sense of community connection. Within the religion itself, there's a lot of music, devotional singing, an emphasis on community and sharing. There's a communal kitchen. It's called langar. So everybody is welcome into a Sikh temple, regardless of who they are, and they can receive food.
And so no one goes hungry.
No one goes hungry
in this culture. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that really influenced me in terms of how we connect as people, and gave me a sense of what oneness is, which is kind of like my central belief.
Yeah, interesting, because what little I know of Hindu religion, which I'm a little more familiar with, is they have a god or a goddess for everything, right? There's like hundreds of gods and goddesses, and it's a little different than the oneness. So it's a very, I don't know, they seem very different to me. But
yes and no. So the Hindu religion, the umbrella of the Hindu religion, has many, many deities, but there are lots of different branches of Hinduism. And I'm also a yoga teacher, so I'm very much connected to Indian wisdom teachings and yogic wisdom. But Hinduism, it just has all of these different archetypes of the deities, the gods and goddesses. But in actual fact, it is the underlying wisdom teaching is all about one universal consciousness.
It is the same. So you have some connection there between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. But my mother was a great influence in my spirituality and my spiritual path, because she had both the Hindu deities and the Sikh gurus on her altar. And so I learned a lot about, Hindu spiritual practices. We used to have fire rituals because the grandmothers next door were Hindus, and my mom and the grandmothers next door used to have these elaborate bhakti yogic type rituals in our home. And I also learned the Sikh prayers and the Sikh traditions as well. So there was a lot, but my mother was very, very spiritual, and I think she was the greatest influence in my spiritual journey.
Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating. It must have been a fascinating journey too. Growing now, and plus you were learning all this growing up in England at the time.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What was that like?
So I'm really just an average Londoner. But it was interesting because I grew up in the 70s and 80s in London, England, and there was a lot of Indian immigrants at the time, so it wasn't always easy for my family and for me as well to fit in and belong, because there was a lot of misunderstanding, there was a lot of racism,
I would
and
imagine,
so that was quite difficult for us. But I really love London. London is kind of like
I do too.
home as well, and I had lots of friends from lots of different backgrounds, and I just learned a lot from just the local communities that I was a part of, and have friends from all over, and then influenced by my family and family culture, but also influenced by English culture, British culture. So it was, it was an interesting journey, trying to kind of like meld all of these things together.
And somehow you did.
Yes,
you did. Yeah. And you ended up here in Eastern Massachusetts.
Yep. And so that's a story in itself. So I came here 22 years ago. So in 2003 is when I arrived into Massachusetts, and I was working for British Airways at the time. And I just came here for work, and I was going to be working here, and I thought maybe I'd be here for a year or two, and then just ended up staying because Spirit led me to the Spiritualist Church in Swampscott. And that's really where my sort of bigger spiritual journey actually began.
So it led you there. So, and just for those who might not be familiar with the Spiritualist Church, it is a religion, right?
Yes.
It is a religion.
Yes. So modern contemporary spiritualism is a religion, and it is based on universal laws. It does not have a dogma or creed, but there are a set of universal principles that we use as a guide to guide us in life. But again, the commonalities between spiritualism, Sikhism, and also the yogic wisdom traditions and Hinduism are very, very similar. So there's a great similarity.
You wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so, but ultimately it's all about oneness and about one consciousness. And mediumistic practices and spiritualist practices are very, very close to yogic practices in the sense of working with expanded consciousness.
Right.
And so it's quite fascinating because I actually have ended up in my work being in this intersectional space between ancient yogic wisdom and modern contemporary spiritualism.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating.
It really is. I mean, I was at that church, the Spiritualist Church in Swampscott, many years ago. I visited a few times, and I remember hearing about it because I'm an intuitive medium as well.
Yes.
And people would say to me, you got to go to this church because they're all like you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, really? I had never heard of such a thing. I was like, there's really a place I could go where there are people like me who, you know, connect with those on the other side.
Absolutely.
And I was amazed. There was a church full of people, and there was a demonstration too, and also healing work, the hands-on kind of a healing, that you offer as well. So it was just an amazing experience, and a really wonderful community. So, and now you are the minister as well?
I'm one of the ministers in the church, and I'm on the pastoral team. And so I'm a certified medium with the church as well, and as a minister as well. I serve my church, which is the Swampscott Church of Spiritualism, as well as other spiritualist churches all over the country well. So,
yes, I know there are some of the, I don't know where the original was, but Lilydale and upstate New York, and also Mount Etna and
Camp Etna,
in Maine.
That's right.
That
those
was
are
the other ones I'm familiar with.
Yeah, those are two spiritualist camps. I've served Camp Etna, served Temple Heights, and a lot of the spiritualist churches in Massachusetts as well. So, so, and then there's a main spiritualist church in New Jersey called The Journey Within. And that's another kind of prominent spiritualist church. Yeah,
because the church itself, I think, got a lot of, or maybe started in or near Boston was it the late 1800s?
Yeah.
When there was a lot of interest in mediumship?
Yeah, so in 1848.
Oh, okay.
The Fox sisters in upstate New York started, this is the birth of modern contemporary spiritualism. So they would hear rapping, which is like knocks in the walls of the house they were living in, and they realized that there was a spirit that was trying to communicate with them, and they figured out how to communicate through the knocks. And that was the actual kind of like birth of modern spiritualism. They became mediums, and then there was a lot of interest in this part of the world at that time in different types of spiritual philosophy and understanding, and that's how spiritualism became a religion. Yeah, so
a few hundred years and it's still here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So I want to talk about your work as a trance medium.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is and what the difference is between trance mediumship and traditional mediumship or psychic medium?
Absolutely, yeah. So psychic mediumship, which most people are familiar with, and obviously you're an intuitive medium as well yourself, Leah. So psychic mediumship is where the medium retains a strong level of awareness and awakeness during a spirit communication. And psychic mediumship is when you connect with the auric field of the person that is in front of you, and that's where you can tell things about that person and their life and their journey, the past, present and future. And the auric field is the emanation of the soul. So that's what we're reading as psychics. Yeah. And then the mediumistic connection is the same soul-to-soul connection, the soul-to-soul blend, but we're blending with and connecting with loved ones who have transitioned over to the spirit side of life. So it's just a slightly different vibrational frequency because the spirit people don't have a physical body, but we're blending with the spirit people, and we're bringing forward what we call evidence, which is details of the spirit person's life when they were here on the earth plane, and bring messages to their loved ones who are left behind. And it's incredibly healing, and it also proves the continuity of life beyond death. And it also helps people to understand the true nature of being as being much bigger than just the physical human. Trance mediumship is very different in the sense that the medium moves into deeper altered states of consciousness, so into kind of like slower brainwave states and trance states and varying degrees of trance states. And what happens there is there's kind of like a letting go of the egoic self. So the egoic self, the identified self, the Gurdeep part of me moves out of the way.
Moves aside, maybe.
Moves aside. And there is some awareness and there is some including in the blending. But then this deeper blending takes place with spirit. And it's usually spirit guides or higher beings bringing forth through this consensual blend between the medium and the spirit, healing and wisdom and insight, which wouldn't normally be available to an average human being from higher planes of existence.
So are these, the spirits, are they actually like coming into your system, like your body, they bringing their energy into your system during this?
Yeah, kind of. So yes, it's a blend. So what's happening is, what's happening is the medium's body and being becomes kind of like a conduit or a vehicle for the spirit to have a more direct interaction with the recipient. And so it can be quite a profound experience.
It sounds like it, yes, because I'm thinking of that movie Ghost from, I don't know when maybe 1990s, I don't know, early 2000s with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg was the trance medium. And in the movie, I mean, it's funny, she made it a joke, but it was really that she was taking on the persona of the spirit. This was for people on the other side. It wasn't, she wasn't, in the movie, it wasn't about spirits or higher spirits. It was, you know, humans on the other side. And she would take on their persona and the way they spoke and their personality. Is that anything similar to what we're talking about here? Yeah,
so there are many different ways of expressing through trance mediumship. And so one of the ways is that we could actually embody and blend with spirit loved ones, spirit people who are on the spirit side of life, and take on their characteristics and their personality. But there's also spirit guides that we work with, that we blend with. And in traditional spiritualist trance mediumship, oftentimes the trance medium will suddenly change in terms of their facial features, their voice, and the spirit will speak directly through the voice box of the medium. And so what happens there is we are taking on the persona of the spirit guide or the group of spirits or the higher beings that come through us. So it's very, very, very different.
It's also making me think of Abraham Hicks. If you've heard of that, so Esther Hicks has been channeling this group of teachers called Abraham for, I don't know, at least 20 years. I would say quite a while. She was the origin behind The Secret, the popularity of The Secret book.
Absolutely.
And the movie. It was really Esther Hicks.
Yes.
And that is the way she described it. And I've seen her in person when she had come to Massachusetts a few times and channeled. When she channeled, it was different. It was a little bit change in her voice.
Yes.
But it really is, you know, like you're looking in her eyes and you're seeing someone else.
That's
really what I experienced.
Absolutely. But there are also many other expressions of trance mediumship, and healing energy can come through the trance medium in a very, very intense and profound way. So like some of the experiences I've had working with groups is that there have been physical healings that have taken place. There have been a lot of emotional healing. There's a lot of different types of healing that happen within trance mediumship expression. So healing is one of the ways that trance mediumship is expressed as well.
Wow. And do you think it's that this healing takes place, whether it's physical or emotional, that takes place when there's a recipient with the trance medium? Do you think it's because it's just a clear channel? I mean, that you know, it would help the person in ways that they wouldn't be able to be healed without the trance medium? Is it just because it's so quick and clear channel that it can happen right away?
I think so. I think it's because it's very direct and and the energy of the spirit. So the medium will work to develop trance mediumship over a period of time. So it's really important to develop it properly, because you have to learn to really place the egoic self aside to be a clear channel for the spirit, so they can do whatever they need to through the medium. But yes, it's very powerful, very clear, very direct. And the medium, because the medium has developed over time, has built a relationship with spirit and has kind of like almost changed their vibrational frequency to be a strong conduit for the spirit. And the recipients of trance mediumship are forever changed. And the atmosphere is changed. The atmosphere in the room changes. Anyone who's in the presence of spirit through trance mediumship can move through a great transformative and awakening experience.
Right. So if someone wanted to become a trance medium, don't just try it. You go through the, it sounds like quite a process. I mean, just the ability to be able to put your ego aside to allow that is a huge. That alone, I would think, takes what, years, you would say? It could take years?
It can take years. And it's all about surrendering, surrendering the egoic self. But actually, what it's really about is the spiritual journey of the medium. So all mediumship, in my opinion, is about the personal spiritual journey of the medium. And it's through that journey, through learning how to meditate, learning how to feel and be in the power of the soul, and to allow the soul self to become more prominent, and then to learn how to blend with the spirit, because we're blending from the soul. We're not blending from the sort of human side. We're blending from the soul aspect. And so it really does require a lot of learning, because we're so conditioned as humans as well. So we really need to put all of that aside and to surrender to spirit and to trust in spirit. And I've always had a very, very positive experience with spirit.
That's wonderful. I'm just thinking of my own journey. As a medium, as a child, I was not comfortable with it. I was nervous about it. I was experiencing things that other people around me were not experiencing. But it took me years to, first of all, to accept myself for who I was, but then also to learn to manage it and control it. So I can just imagine how many years it took me to do that. And then to add on to that, the blending that you're talking about at the soul level, it's a lot, but it's a wonderful service.
It is
for people who are ready for it, who need it, who are looking for not just the healing, but like it sounds like just the level of comfort and peace that the person would receive.
Absolutely. And it's very fascinating, because it has a lot of, I've heard from various people, a lot of different people, that the trance mediumship experience has a lot of similarities to plant medicine journeys and shamanic journeys, but it's like without any kind of like other intervention, and just using the trance medium, and the trance medium using the breath or whatever vehicle they use to move into the altered states, and then to bring spirit forward to help people to heal in the various ways that they need to, and to actually like bring the light of spirit into the world. It's bringing that frequency of love into the world to enact change and transformation on a collective level.
For all of us. All of us, no matter who we are. That's beautiful. Thank you. I want to ask you now about the Shakti embodiment training that you do. What is the Shakti?
So Shakti is it's a word that could be described as the dynamic force of creation. So in the Indian wisdom traditions, you have this understanding, if we're looking at a non-dual perspective, which means that you believe and know that there is one consciousness. So within that one consciousness, you have infinite potential, which is sometimes called Shiva. So that's like the infinite potential. So if you think about the Big Bang, it's a good way of describing what I'm talking about. So you had no thing, you had nothing but potential. And then in the Big Bang, you had this explosion that took place, this energy. And that's what Shakti is. Shakti is that dynamic force that created everything in the cosmos from that infinite potential. And Shakti is expressed, as Shakti could be described as the immanent form of the divine or the infinite spirit that is within us, or that is us and everything within existence. So it's moving energy, and it's dynamic, divine energy that is creating everything in existence and enlivening us as beings.
Right, as we, the creators as well, are part of this creation as well. So Shakti embodiment sounds like acknowledging the Shakti that's within you, if I could say it correctly. Okay. And then you can, in your teaching, it's like learning the awareness of that, or?
Yes. So part of it is learning the awareness of Shakti and of conceptually trying to understand how creation is formed.
Okay.
But the most important part is the embodiment part. So through yogic practices, including pranayama, which is breath work, asana, which is the physical postures, mudra, which is the yogic hand gestures, and mantra, which is the sonic practices.
Chanting,
all of these things can come together, and we can learn how to just embrace Shakti, the Shakti that we actually are, and allow the soul self and that divine energy to permeate our being and to become more prominent within our everyday lives, within our body. And so there's a very different perspective when it comes to Shakti, because it's about embracing the body as an expression of the infinite spirit, as an expression of the divine. And so it's more of a whole and holistic way of being, and it's a more whole and holistic form of spiritual expression.
Okay, so this is a practice as well. It sounds like it's something you are working towards, this embodiment. You know, you're working towards it. It's sort of like, that's why I was getting the feeling like we all have it, we are it, but the teaching is about practicing so that you can acknowledge it within yourself. And, and what kind of thing, so would it change someone's life, or would it, if once they do that, how does that work?
Absolutely. So embodiment is about living your spirituality and about like expressing it through direct experience. And also Shakti can also refer to Kundalini awakening experiences as well.
Right.
So Shakti can also be described as the goddess or the divine feminine energy. But it's nothing to do with gender per se. It's just to do with
it's not about male
energy.
or female. It's about the creation energy that you're talking about.
Exactly, the energy of creation. And so the embodiment part can either, like, a person can move through an awakening experience and then realize through their actual embodied practice the true nature of our being, that we're much, much more than just a physical human being, and that we can expand our awareness and connect with the spirit world and connect with higher dimensional spaces. And then it can also help us to self-heal and to heal others. So when we embody Shakti and live that divine presence through our lives, we can use the various spiritual technologies to do self-healing and to help others to heal as well. So
that's great. And it sounds like what you were talking about before with the trance mediumship and putting your ego aside, that this practice, as you embody your Shakti more and more, your ego would naturally like be put aside, not disappear, but you're not relying so much on your ego to get through your day. Like you said, you're acknowledging the oneness.
Yes.
And that alone will change your life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just that awakening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've actually been through several awakening experiences myself, where my Kundalini woke up and And that was kind of like at the beginning of my journey within the spiritualist church. And I didn't truly understand it at the time, and it led me down this path of trying to sort of go deeper into yogic wisdom and understanding what was happening. But these sorts of things can also happen spontaneously. But when they do, it's as if the divine force, the divine energy itself is living you. You are that energy, and you're living it. And it's a direct experience, and it's a direct expression of the infinite spirit. So it is completely life-changing in a very, very positive way. But I actually have a lot of people coming to me who have nothing to do with yoga or Indian culture, Indian wisdom, who are having Kundalini awakening experiences.
Really? Is it more like recently?
More recently, yes.
Okay.
And they're not understanding what's happening to them.
Okay.
And they somehow find me, and I can help to guide them. And that's where that Shakti embodiment work is truly happening. So I'm guiding them into understanding their awakening experiences and embracing the divine energy within. And when you have that kind of awakening experience, it actually can be a catalyst to awaken your intuitive and mediumistic abilities. The yogic texts talk about that. And also within modern spiritualism, the spiritualist practices of meditation, sitting in the power, also can bring you into that space. So it's very, very interesting and transformative.
Wow. And it's so good to know that for all these people that are having this experience, I believe that I've had that happen a couple of times, and I didn't know what it was the first time either. I was like, "What's going on?" I was receiving energy work at the time, healing work at the time, and my whole body shifted. Like from within is the only way I can describe it. And I had already been, on the healing journey for my own journey and awakening my own gifts. So it wasn't like a, dramatic for me, I think, because I had been kind of building up to it for years. I think it was many years. So, but that's wonderful that people can come to you for that kind of support. And because it can be overwhelming.
It can be very overwhelming, and if you don't have an understanding, sometimes it can be frightening as well. And so it's really important to have a guide who's knowledgeable about these things. And because of my own Kundalini awakening experiences and my mediumistic development, I also was led on a path to understand Tantric yoga in the true sense of the word of Tantric yoga, which is the Indian wisdom traditions and non-dual Shaiva Tantra and Shakta Tantra, which really explains what Kundalini awakening is and what Shakti is.
That's good, because I don't think anyone's ever explained it to me.
Exactly. and so,
I'm always asking, I'm like, what? Can you explain it? So and it's in that tradition.
And it's all about subtle body practices. So the chakra system, which most people are familiar with, comes from all of these Indian wisdom traditions. And within Tantric yoga, the Kashmiri Tantric wisdom teachings, there's a lot of information that's come down the generations from meditating yogis that teaches us about the subtle body. So it teaches us about the soul, and it teaches us about the subtle body, the chakras, and the way that energy moves through us, and how we can empower ourselves by harnessing that energy and by making it flow in a certain direction, and to be able to also dissolve stuck energy. And a lot of people have ancestral trauma and different types of trauma from this life and other lifetimes as well. And those subtle body practices and mediumship and trance mediumship can help to heal those things.
And release it.
Release
a block, then release it. Wow, this is fascinating. I like, this time is going by so quickly. I'm like, wow, all right, we could keep talking for quite a while.
We could.
On this too. I'm fascinated with it. But so since you were talking about what you do, can you tell everybody how they can find you, how to get in touch with you if they're looking for this kind of support or information.
Absolutely. You can reach me through my website, which is parinamahealing.com. And I think it's going to be in the notes for the podcast.
Yes, it will be in the
as
notes,
well.
yes.
And you can contact me on social media as well. And my Instagram, I have 2 Instagram handles. One is Parinama Healing, and the other one is Gurdeep Bhogal _yogini_medium, and I'm on Facebook, and you can contact me all of those various ways.
Right.
I do have an office, an actual physical office in Marblehead as well, so you can come and see me there. I also work virtually as well. So.
Right, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have lots of ways. Plus,
Yeah.
in addition to that,
Yes.
August 16th, we have, let me just hold up the flyer here. I don't know if anybody can see that for those viewing at home. We have Gurdeep coming to Apollo Sunrise Center on Saturday, August 16th at 1 o'clock. And you are going to be doing evidential mediumship that day,
Yes.
right? Which is different from the trance mediumship that we were talking
Absolutely.
about. It's evidential.
Yes.
So, and that was what you were explaining before about connecting with loved ones on the other side,
Yes.
giving some
Evidence.
and validity
Exactly.
to the messages.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So what we do with evidential mediumship or psychic mediumship in an evidential way is to bring forward facts about the spirit person's life,
Right.
whatever they want to convey to their loved one who is in the audience and who is
Right.
the recipient. And we bring that connection. So we're the medium connecting the spirit people with their loved ones who are left behind on the earth plane, and giving them messages and whatever it is they need to hear from their loved one on the spirit side of life, because life is continuous beyond the change called death.
Right. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So if you'd like to join us for that you can find on the apollosunrise.com website. So it's just apollosunrise.com. Go to the calendar, August 16th, and you'll find the link to sign up for this event. We are looking forward to it, and maybe you'd even come back again sometime after
Yeah.
August. So if you can't make
Yep.
it that time, come back again.
Yeah, I'm very
And
excited to be there.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, we're excited to have you. This is going to be great. So just one thing before I can't believe it, we're going to end already, but if someone was out there watching or listening and maybe has had some mediumship experiences, or has maybe felt the presence of energies around them of their loved ones, but don't really know what to do, where to start, what do you think do you have any advice for someone?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, there's nothing to fear from our loved ones on the spirit side of life.
That's a good point. Yes.
They are very loving energy, and sometimes they make themselves known to you because they want to connect with you, and we're just not used to connecting with them, so it can feel a little strange. But just be open to connecting with and hearing from your loved ones. And you might want to actually visit a spiritualist church to gain a greater understanding of the continuity of life beyond the change called death. You might want to start to develop your mediumistic abilities, your intuitive abilities. You can talk to the spirit people. They will hear you, and they will know. And it's more like a telepathic kind of communication, but they will really know that you are communicating with them. And if you find it overwhelming, you can actually ask them to sort of like step back, and you can say, I feel overwhelmed.
That's so important to say. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that part,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. But there's really nothing to fear. It's pure love. Spirit is pure love.
Yes.
And that's why mediumship itself is a loving practice, and it brings an enormous amount of comfort and healing and closure as well. There's a lot of reasons why our spirit loved ones need to come through,
Right.
and they lead the way within the mediumship, because they have a need to connect with us. They're also on their own continuing spiritual journey.
Right. So
as
they're
well.
on their journey, we're
Yes.
on our journey, and somewhere in the middle we connect.
We meet. Yeah.
We meet.
We meet through the medium.
Until we meet them on the other side too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, wow, Gurdeep, this was fascinating.
Yeah,
thank you so
you.
much for joining us
Yeah,
today.
thank you for having
This was
me
so
here.
much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, all of you, for watching and listening to Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Please join us again soon. We have lots more episodes coming up.